Zen. You hear that word all the time, don't you? And it brings up these images of, perfect calm, minimalist gardens, maybe this deep, quiet wisdom. It feels so simple, but at the same time, it feels completely out of reach. So what's really going on behind that elegant simplicity? Well, today, we're going to peel back the layers. You see, everything in Zen really starts right here with this one massive fundamental problem. It's this idea that your own mind, your thoughts, your feelings, all of it, is actually bigger than anything in the outside world. It's literally a universe inside your head. And that, of course, raises a pretty huge question. How do you even begin to face something that vast? So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll tackle that great problem of mind. Then we're going to look at Zen's very direct, very physical answer, zazen, which is the act of just sitting. From there, we'll get into the really interesting territory where words start to fail us. And we'll wrap things up by looking at the paradoxical goal at the very heart of Zen, a concept they call emptiness. Okay, so let's dive into this first part, the problem of the mind. This is really the why behind Zen in the first place. It didn't just pop up as a cool philosophy. It was born from a deeply human struggle to deal with the sheer chaos and scale of our own consciousness. This quote from an old Kamakura-era text just nails it, doesn't it? The heavens are endlessly high, but the mind pierces above them. It paints this picture of the mind as something with no boundaries at all, something that can soar higher than the sky and dig deeper than the earth. And while that sounds amazing, that very same limitless power is also what makes our minds feel so untamable, so exhausting sometimes. So this is the starting line for Zen. It doesn't try to give you easy life hacks or simplify your mind. It just looks at that vast, messy, beautiful, and sometimes terrifying universe inside us and says, yep, that's reality. This is what we have to work with. So the big question then becomes, how? And that brings us to Zen's answer, which is almost kind of shocking in how direct and physical it is. It's not a book, it's not a belief system, it's in action. It's zazen, the simple act of sitting. So what even is zazen? It's meditation, for sure, but it's really the non-negotiable center of the whole practice. It's built on this radical idea that instead of trying to figure out your mind by thinking even more, you just sit. You sit down, you straighten your back, you breathe, and you just watch that whole universe of your mind go by without getting swept away by it. And get this, because this is absolutely crucial, Zazen isn't just a warm-up exercise. For Zen, this practice is the path. It's not about preparing for something else. The insight, the clarity, the so-called enlightenment that Zen talks about, it's all found right there in the committed, repeated act of sitting. But don't let that simplicity fool you into thinking it's basic. Zazen is an incredibly refined inner technology. Ancient training manuals, like the one mentioned here, are like these super detailed maps of consciousness. They outline dozens of specific techniques. We're talking 40 different triggers or focal points to help someone navigate their inner world and get to these deep states of concentration. It's really a science of sitting. So you have this very technical, physical practice. But here's where Zen takes a fascinating turn. It leads you to a place where all our usual tools for understanding, things like language and logic, they just start to break down. There's this fantastic phrase for it, gongo dodan. It literally means something like, the path of language is cut. It's this profound idea that the deepest truths about life and consciousness simply cannot be squeezed into words. Language is just a map, right? But Zen is interested in the actual territory. And this creates this huge split. On one side, you've got the world of intellect, logic, analysis, debate, but on the other, you have what Zen is pointing to, direct, silent, personal experience. It's the difference between reading 100 books about what an orange tastes like and actually taking a bite and feeling the juice run down your chin. Which, of course, creates a pretty interesting problem for a teacher. If the ultimate insight can't be explained with words, how do you guide someone there? How do you use language to push someone beyond language? This is where the famous Zen koan comes in. Think about what is the sound of one hand clapping. These aren't just quirky riddles. A koan is a tool. It's a question specifically designed to be impossible for your logical mind to solve. The whole goal is to make your intellect spin its wheels so hard that it finally just gives up. And in that moment of surrender, a totally different kind of understanding can rush in. So, what is that understanding? What do you find when you push past the limits of your own rational mind? Well, this brings us to our last stop, and it's the biggest paradox in Zen. The goal isn't to find a thing, but an absence of things. The word is ku, or emptiness. Now, this is a really tricky word because for us, empty sounds bad, like a void, a lack, just nothingness. But in Zen, it's the total opposite. It doesn't mean nothing is there, it means nothing is fixed. It means everything is interconnected, constantly changing, and doesn't have a solid, separate self. I absolutely love this quote because it captures the paradox perfectly. The center is empty, but around it, an unusually dense and diverse speculation and practice is born. See? Realizing this emptiness isn't the end of the line, it's the beginning. It's like understanding that the open, unfixed nature of reality is precisely what allows for all the richness, all the creativity, and all the life we experience. And this is the great reversal in Zen. The goal isn't to build yourself up into some solid, enlightened statue. The goal is to realize the fundamental openness, this dynamic, creative emptiness that you already are. It's not about arriving at some final destination. It's about realizing you were already at the source of the whole journey all along. So, we'll leave you with this. Zen offers a very specific path, through the body, through practice, through silence, for exploring the truths that our words can't quite touch. But the question is universal. In your own life, when you hit the limits of what can be explained, how do you keep searching?